welcome you all to a wonderful session post-lunch. So the topic of discussion is the new supply of retail spaces expansion at the forefront. As I discussed in the morning also that the malls are expanding, the brands are expanding. There are really lots of new spaces which are coming up, not only in the metro cities, but also in tier 2 and beyond. Right, so we want to understand what is propelling the growth of retail here in India, how the brands can collaborate together to facilitate this growth, and how can we come up with more retail spaces here in India and take retail to new heights. I welcome you all and looking forward to a very interesting discussion, to be very honest. Yeah, so we'll be starting with Deepika first. Deepika, I want to understand from you, how do you examine the latest trends which are driving the expansion of retail spaces? When you select a space for your brand, how do you say, yes, this is the place where I want my brand to be presented?
So we are rapidly expanding. We currently have 275 stores operational in the country and many more to come. As we speak, there are a number of stores which are under design stage or fit out. With having said that, when you have such a large footprint already, you really need to think of cannibalization and understand where your customers are based, and then go ahead and open a store, because it's very important. When you open a store, you should be sure that it will give you that kind of business or number that you're projecting. So CaratLane actually started as an online retailer. We have a great user base. The CaratLane customer is very tech savvy. They are always browsing our app. So what we do is actually we look at where our customers are sitting, from where they are browsing, where the online sales are happening. And we have other mediums like try at home, etc. So we look at that, and basis that we decide, yes, this is the pin code where we should go after. And because we have so many user base, and we'll be able to generate certain amount of revenue from here, and then basis that we project our business and then go ahead and open a store. So having said that, we also look at like-minded customer profile brands. So not necessarily it has to be a jeweler, actually. It could be a brand which is maybe into apparel, maybe into footwear, but catering to the same customer profile. So that is what we look at when we go at high streets and other locations.
So, Sneha, I'll contradict a bit and ask you a question. There has been a time when retailers used to think about where the consumers are, where the catchment is, right? But now technology is also playing a critical role in deciding. So what is favorable? I mean, if a big property is coming, maybe in Bangalore, maybe in Mumbai, or maybe data points doesn't support that. So what will you go for, a big property or data points? How do you decide that? Isn't it conflicting that ways?
Charu, I think it'll be a mix of both. Reason being, when there is a big mall coming up, obviously the big malls will have big brand mixes, and you will want to be there with all the other big brands. And at the same time, say for a high street, for an example, or the airport road, because you had mentioned Bangalore, I'll take an example of airport road. I mean, few years back it was nothing, but suddenly it's just boomed up for all the factory outlets. So it's also, so both the points are very important. Your big malls, your big boxes, and apart from that, what are your competitors doing? Where are the brands going? What is the new market emerging? Where are the deep pockets of the consumers? So all of these, you take overall 360-degree view, and then you take a call.
So when you say overview of a 360-degree view of things, so what all metrics do you include in that?
So basically you look at the footfalls, you look at your competitions, you benchmark, like how Deepika was telling. So you benchmark which are the brands are there, and how much are they doing, and what will be the forecast. You analyze a trend accordingly, and what are the consumers in and around. Are they IT, or are they what are the women doing? Are they homemakers, etc.? So there are so many other points that goes into consideration. So the household and the geospatials, the demographics, and etc.
So, Rohit, I'm coming to you. I want to understand, when the brands are looking at so many perspectives. So, what perspective do you guys keep in mind while building a mall and ensure that the longevity and sustainability of the mall, the longer term?
Hi, Charu. So obviously, the way the brand looks at it, we also consider various parameters. Uh, One very big thing is we're going to invest not one or two or some few crores, but some hundred and thousands of crores. So the dynamism changed drastically. One is the basic things is the size of the land, the frontage that land has got. Definitely, we also try to analyze which markets we want to go. Post-COVID, I think the way the growth is happening from tier 2, tier 3 cities, we are pretty excited to go across those cities, understand the consumer, understand the depth of the market, and take positions in those markets. That's one. Second, what we also trying to do is create a large asset, right, which can create a large marketplace for all the brands to come in together, so that it becomes a destination. Because we believe those centers not only cater to that city, but also try and cater to the neighboring districts and cities. Because that kind of an asset or that kind of a brand mix, the consumers would have not seen at all. Coming back to your second part of the question in terms of sustainability, I think that's been looked at by Indian corporates very differently nowadays. Uh, but to my mind, on the retail side or the retail brand side, there's still a long way to go. We definitely see multinational brands following certain guidelines in terms of using sustainable products and so on and so forth. While we create our asset, we definitely have it gold LEED certified and platinum LEED certified. I think there's still a long way to go from the developer side, and a long way definitely from a brand side to become a sustainable. One example I could think of is when the new Bangalore airport was launched. I think they had mandated all the brands to use for their fit outs, 60% of their interior stuff should be either recycled or sustainable. I am sure a lot of brands have come back, and when I was chatting with them, they told they had a nightmare. So I think there's a long way on the sustainable part of it, but yes, we have to keep at it.
Okay, I didn't cut you in between, but I guess I understood it wrong. From sustainability, I meant longevity of the malls, sustainability of the malls for the longer term in that ways.
Yeah, definitely. That obviously it's a mix of see, retail or a mall is a continuous evolving space. If you are running a mall, you have to keep on evolving on day-to-day basis. To give an example, first F&B never was a big part of malls, right? Never, like 10 years ago or 5-7 years ago, nobody thought I'll go to a restaurant in a mall. Today, when we plan a mall, we have more than 10-15% allocated to F&B. Entertainment, right? FEC has started taking a larger position. So we're changing our mix accordingly to be relevant at the real times. Cinema, multiplex, they were started with 4 screen, 5 screens, went up to high as 11, 12 screens. Now you talk to them, they've gone back to 6, 7 screens. So unfortunately for us, we are a hardware, we are a real estate. This is much we can expand or merge. So we have to keep on re-engineering ourselves all the time to be relevant, right? Depending on categories, depending on the brand mix. So yeah, we try to do all of that.
So consumer guides you what to do.
Sorry?
Consumer guides you what to do.
Yes, definitely.
And what are brands doing? Aren't they guiding you?
Brands, yes, definitely. So there are a set of brands who are here on both on my left and right hand side. There are some great brands, but we also seeing a lot of excitement from D2C brands coming in. One very important thing is every D2C brand has realized that if they want to cross X after 100 crore, they get stuck. If they want to really build their brand, they have to come offline. And we're seeing fabulous new options or new stores or new categories being opened up within the D2C space. So that's an exciting space to be.
So into the, if you can add about the tier 2 malls, we have seen a lot of malls coming in tier 2 and beyond cities. How do you see the retail flourishing over there? And do you think it will impact the urban retail which is happening here in the metro and tier 1 cities?
With Hyderabad, what happened with City Capital Mall was very complex. We set up this big place and we didn't know who it would cater to. So all we could do is keep putting in brands after brand and hoping for the best. At a certain period of time, I realized that my customer was not coming from only 5 kilometers radius. All our demographics, including all the brands, the studies that they do before taking up store space anywhere, is about local uh, demographics. Uh, the customer was upending that. So when I realized that my customer is upending and they are being ahead of the curve than all of us, that is when I went chasing brands which were not in the configuration of any regular mall. So the moment I changed the configuration, uh, the whole mix started changing. I found customers. So at this point, as we speak, my customers come in from Kadapa, which is 9 hours away, by car, and they go back. They come in from Guntur, which is 8.5 hours away. They come in from Gulbarga, which is in another state. They come in from Raichur, which is in another state. They come in from Chandrapur, Gadchiroli, which is in another state altogether. It's in Maharashtra actually. I have found people coming in for shadi shopping from Nagpur, which is by road about 7.5 hours. So, so then what are we? We stopped being a mall long ago. We stopped being a mall maybe just after COVID, and 6 or 7 months after COVID. We became a regional destination. I had it in my marketing transcript and all of that. But to actually see that happen was a different sensation. So I had to then run because customer has come. Now what to do for them? We have to do something for them. So whether it was entertainment, like he said, entertainment, amusement, and F&B, we had to go way beyond normal. Way beyond normal. I mean, normal is putting in a KFC or a Burger King or something like that. This is normal, absolute normal. Putting in something like a Krishnapatnam, 15,000 square feet of space with 462 covers, therefore making per day an average of 1,100 covers is like beyond normal. And then putting in a banquet within the place over there on fifth floor and making that banquet work is something else. So I have been all over the place. We have got now 1.7 lakh square feet of entertainment spaces.
Doing something unconventional actually helped you garner more consumers.
Yeah. So if you go to Kakinada, let me just give an example here. Go to a small town. It's a tier 3, tier 4, I think, not even tier 3, right? Tier 4. So if you go to Kakinada, you can still build a mall. And the asset will turn out gold. But you'll have to build it differently. It can't be built, maybe Forever New will not take space there, but somebody will. And they have come. Those guys have also come. Like tomorrow I'm probably sitting down with a bag brand, which is D2C. Then a shoe brand, which is D2C. Then a couple of accessories brands, which are all D2C, which are catering to very small markets, but they are in our pin codes. Pin code has now become very important. We are no longer catering to a physical space. So they profile the customer through the pin codes, and then they arrive, and then they challenge us. They challenge us so much that we have to wake up to the challenge. Otherwise, malls as physical spaces will remain. There is no problem. It's nice, but will never yield.
So evolving with the evolving needs of consumers is necessary.
Living animal. The city is also a living animal. The malls are also living animals now. They are breathing.
So Anshu, as Indranil said, Forever New will not take a space at such a mall. So I want to understand, where will you actually take a space, and what are the parameters that brands keep in mind while selecting a place? And apart from that, what arrangements works best for from the retailer's perspective of with the malls?
Okay, so there are two different questions. What do you want me to answer first?
It's up to you.
Okay, so first, answering what do we look at in a mall? One is the readiness of the place or the city to Western wear. We all know that Western wear is not really adopted by all. So one is that. The second is the spending power. So there are places like a Kanpur where the spending power is huge, but will they spend 8,000 rupees or a 10,000 rupee on a dress, on a Western dress? Maybe not. So that city, despite having a strong disposable income bracket, will not feature into a place that we want to be. So these are basically two very strong factors. There are many more. But yeah, once we decide on a place, also like-mindedness. So we see what are the other brands, like a Vera Moda or a bestseller brand, which will be doing what kind of numbers. Is the city now gearing up to embrace Western wear? That becomes a very strong point for us. Answering your second question as to what is it that the terms with the retailers. See, we believe that if I'm representing a brand, revenue share is the best, right? Whatever I make, the mall makes. But we also believe that it's not about what is benefit to the brand. As a partner, we want to grow together. So the mall grows, the brand grows, and the brand grows, the mall also becomes very desirable. So it has to be a partnership. And in that, till I would say 2022, a rent plus a revenue share has been working beautifully. The stakes are from both sides, the partnership is there, we build the brand together, we sell together. But I think since 2022, another channel came into play, which is the Omni channel, where the orders are being processed in the store for an online partner. And in that, when there is a revenue share that needs to be parted with, it hurts. Because we believe, yes, there is a role of the mall in terms of providing the facilities to the brand, but the traffic is not getting pulled by the brand. And paying such high revenue shares on every Omni order is something that is now hitting the bottom line. So I think sitting here, and if I have a voice, I would urge all the retailers to consider to have a differential agreement on every Omni order that gets fulfilled from the brand.
From all people, I want to understand what is your take on this thing?
You're starting a fight.
It's okay. Thank you very much. Controversial is good. Actually, there's no controversy. It's when a brand and a mall decides to work together, there is something called an agreement. And before that agreement comes in negotiation. And negotiation is based on two things. How much both need each other? One. That is the first part of the negotiation. And the second part of the negotiation, how much does the customer want both the brand and the mall? Nothing else matters. So based on this, if negotiations happen and the customer is served both ways, online as well as offline, and therefore being omni-channel, and therefore the customer is freed to come to the store, select, understand, experience, do the trial room gig, and then walk away and order from wherever they want. Or do the opposite, order, come back, have a look. If they don't want, they can cancel the order, or they can return, or whatever. In all these cases, it is not that the mall doesn't achieve anything. The mall achieves footfall and experience, which is also very needed for a mall to succeed. And for the brand to succeed, it's obvious. I don't even have to explain any of this, right? So between negotiations and agreements, if all these points are taken up in earnest, there could be disagreements. There could be some, you may be told that take it or leave it, or we are going to the next guy and we'll not compromise. Well, that goes for any agreement on earth, whether it is for land, or whether it is for a football player, or whether it is for something to send into space. Everything needs to be agreed upon.
So
yeah.
mutual agreement is what malls look forward to. Is it what the brands also look forward to? So from brands, we have three representatives over here. Rohit, yeah. Please speak.
I want to give a different perspective here as well. What in the real I just mentioned, obviously, I completely agree. But I think post-COVID, I think so many conferences and sessions we have attended, there has always been a debate that Omni versus physical space versus Omni. But I think all of us in this room, or I'm sure all of us now believe they're both going to be there for sure. No longer Omni. Omni can't take over physical spaces. You've seen, right? Post-COVID, consumers have come out, and how, right? F&B, if you see from a perspective after COVID, they're doing their lifetime high and they're sustaining those numbers. Fashion, people want an experience. Where else do you give them the experience? It has to be a physical space. They want a touch and feel, and so on and so forth. Now, coming back to the sensitive topic of revenue share, this, that, I think from a brand perspective, the idea should be how can they increase the pie, rather than figuring it out that within the pie, what slice it cuts out to be. Because no longer Omni or an online sales will be like a good to have or a must have. It's become hygiene, right? It's what the consumer wants. So I really don't foresee it that much of a big debate or to dwell into too much. But I think I'm trying to give them a different perspective that we should think big now rather than sticking to that. Yep.
I'll just add to this. Sorry, I'm taking your time. We are all tech led now. Let's just be honest with ourselves. We are not anymore in the old era. After COVID, we are all tech led now. So, how are brands tech led? They are having business intelligence according to which they produce fashion, according to which they have their supply chain, according to which they have their pricing, and so forth. Mostly in fashion, accessories, and jewelry, and all of this, you cannot have a halfway approach. You have to have a complete approach. That means more of stuff being coming in into the mall, into the store at various points of time, and we love it. Malls actually love it because it creates what? Contemporaneous. It creates freshness. We love it. If her team decides to refresh the Forever New store in our mall 3 times a week, I'll be jumping with glee somewhere in the back office.
We do.
Yeah, so I'm already jumping with glee probably. so yeah, we are very happy to do all of this. It's other way. We welcome all of this actually, and we talk about the brands who are actually doing it.
So taking one more cue from what Anshu said, that there has to be certain brands which are there in the mall, then only we'll take space in that mall, in a certain mall. So according to Indranil, when he said that we have to get special brand mix specifically to attract the consumers. So I want to understand the brands in tier 2 and beyond are going to be different that ways, and metro and tier 1 are going to be different that ways. How are we satisfying the consumers in tier 2 and beyond with the luxury brands or the British luxury brands which are actually present here and they want to experience them as well? If you guys can take it, Deepika.
So the way we are going, and this year's focus is actually Middle India. I don't think so there is a difference. At least in our category, there's demand even in tier 2, tier 3, and we are doing great numbers. So I don't think so there's a difference. Whether it's a metro, mini metro, or a tier 2, tier 3 city. The demand, at least in our category, it remains same. The sales remain the same, and the consumer is equally aware, equally tech savvy. When they come to the store, they actually look at the product, they know that it is present in the store. That's how advanced our website is, and then they come and tell us that we know that this is present and we have come to purchase this. So I don't think so it's that way.
I'm quite envious of you. We don't have that luxury of fitting into a tier 2 right now. But how we do is, one is the online. So we do keep a very strong hawkeye on the pin codes which are ordering our product. Second is we also experiment in tier two through the shop in shops. So we open, say, a 200 square feet, see how much are we selling. So these two put together has made us open a few stores. For example, Surat. Surat, we just opened last month because we realized that there are a lot of online orders that have started to come in. Also, our Surat SIS was doing very well. So we kind of experiment with these two channels first before we put in the money. So that's how we do it for the tier two.
So, Rohit, as she touched upon the smaller store format and then opening the bigger one, there are many new formats which are coming in from the retailers. They want to open stores in different way. Can you tell us what are the formats which are going to work in the future and how do you foresee them? How do you understand that what they are looking for and how do you fulfill that?
See, obviously, as they check online and what pin codes they are serving, what couple of things what we see as landlord. One definitely is the rent capacity of a brand, whether their balance sheet and all this is strong enough that is sustainable enough to pay the rentals. That's a basic financial check what we do. Second is yes, if a new brand is coming in, is it thriving? What is the pulse in the consumer or the Gen Z? How are they doing on D2C? That's the second parameter. And third is the right space, whether it fits in the right category or the tenant mix we have. Within tenant mix also comes the trade mix. Will it support the trade mix of the mall? So I think these are the larger, broader things what we really look at it, and then we go ahead and give them the requisite space.
And what are the formats that are working these days and how do you think these formats are going to sustain in the future as well?
So very difficult to mention. It's like out of 100 brands, I think maybe 2 or 3 will be the brands who are going to be the brand from the country. But I'm sure it's not everyone's going to sustain. The answer is that. But yes, to be relevant for us, to be a marketplace, we would want to give spaces to the brands who are coming and thriving. Yeah.
Indra, I saw you laughing loudly. Can you please add to it? What was the reason behind that?
There will be churn, always, at any given point of time. I mean, our friends sitting here also know brand doesn't work, it will not stay in a particular location.
Not only small or new coming brands, we have seen that happening to the best and the biggest
Yeah,
brands.
the best of the ones.
You can go back and see so many brands have disappeared from the
And
circuit.
that's something that can happen even in a high street store,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the best of the brands have issues, and issues have to be attended to. There are two types of issues. One is the financial issues, and one is the assortment issues. The assortment issues can be conquered if they have the right teams in place, both in terms of procurement, and production, and everything else. But if that doesn't, that takes time, people say that my Atlanta team is not sent in and all of that. Nobody's going to listen. Customer is not going to listen to Atlanta. They're not here to listen to Atlanta. If the positioning is here we are playing in for a customer who's either going to buy today or is going to go online and buy over there. Brands like Anasi, Bauji, they are all waiting in the background and taking away customers from the physical lot. They're not even here, but they're there up there and everybody's buying them. So how do we manage all these issues in the future? Is by churn. Churn will happen, but brands which are good, they last. They have all these parameters correct, and they take the right sizes. They don't cry over sizes later. Take a little bit on the conservative side and then explore and keep exploring, and then when you're good to go, blast it. Take better sizes, take better cities, take better towns, even go to deeper towns, like I said, Kakinada, like I say, Raichur, like I say, Jabalpur, like I say, Bhuj. You can go anywhere and make money, but the fact really is your assortment going to serve that micro market?
Also, to add on this, it's also about brand being updated with the customer needs and the trends. There were few brands which pre-COVID they were doing really well, and just after COVID, when omni-channel and everything came in and customers were shifting to online, they didn't have that online presence, and slowly and steadily those brands have died. So not keeping up to those the customer trends, is also one of the reasons why brands die.
You know, Sneha, customers are way ahead of us. Let me give an honest answer over
Exactly.
here. We just have to admit it to ourselves. They're way ahead of us. I just mentioned two brands, Anasi, Bauji. Look them up. Bauji is doing wonderful business. Why don't girls buy from us? Why are they buying from Bauji? We don't have answers as yet. We
As
really
customer is the king and brands and malls both are evolving for the customers, I want to understand how brands and malls can both collaborate and come up with innovative ideas to please the customer of the future. If everybody can take it one by one and answer this
don't.
question.
You know what happens in malls? Ground, upper ground, first, second. It's like a, it's a check, and if that check fails, they just don't do it. All that is over, done with. You have your brand anywhere. If your brand is pulling, it'll pull. It'll pull. Sold store in my mall is placed beside a food court. They all laughed. The whole brand wagon of the total mallscape laughed. They say,
So,
yeah.
engineering zoning makes no sense.
No, zoning absolutely makes sense. So there will be clusters, there will be setups and all of that. But if you want to do real business, if you're really confident about the brand, don't waste time. Take less space if you're not able to think. But if your pin code is telling you some truth, come fast. The time is today, not waiting.
I'm looking forward to the innovative ideas how malls and brands can collaborate to please the consumers of future. So, Anshu, if you can take it up.
You have to give me 1 minute to think through. Let everyone else take. I'm also thinking through it.
So, yeah.
So,
Yeah, please. So being on both the sides, from the mall side and the brand side, from my experiences, what I would say is when both the mall and the brands collaborate. For example, there is a new new concept store launch. You're getting in the celebrities. You're pulling up you're getting their fan base, database. Not necessarily that those uh, customers who are coming to the mall are coming for only that particular brand, but they may just go to some other brands and shop as well. So it's when both malls and the brands, they work cohesively and pull up some experiential events, or some call to action events, stuff like that, to bring in more customers. Another point that I would like to add is the data sharing. Now some brands do share where are their customers coming from, like how Indranil was just mentioning that his customers are from Kakinada. Yes, when the brands share those data with the mall, only when the mall will also know that where are your actual customers coming from. So when both of the brand and the mall work hand in hand together, that becomes a win-win for both, also while paying the rentals and also while having the consumption numbers.
And one more point, which has not come in the country yet, malls are only interested in the upside of the business when they go on revenue share, but they cap our low side, right? So I feel somewhere, if it's a revenue share which is on a pure revenue share model, then it is a complete win-win, right? So rather than just focusing on the brand's upside, malls should also look at taking away the bottom side also of the business in case the brand is not doing great there, and they should support in such situations.
that's exactly. Then one side they say about partnership and they don't want to pay rentals.
No, I spoke.
I'm saying the partnership has to be either ways, not at one
So
spectrum.
there are
of the-
these two basic questions which keep on coming from brands. Is like MG was the first time I've heard. Second is everybody wants a ground floor. So technically, I think we'll have to build stadiums and not malls, right? So sorry, coming back to the innovative ideas, uh, I think couple of things we are doing is one is our loyalty base. Database is easy, shared and done. Trust me, no brands. Say if I've, on the benefit of doubt, I think Indranil you can second me. Only I think 5 or 10% of the brands actually share data with malls. To counter that, what we've done is we've tried to come out with our own loyalty program, which cuts across the entire genre of brands. So one is that innovative idea we're doing. So that it can work wonders, and we actually promote all the brands, cross-sell brands, and so on and so forth on our loyalty platform. Second, what we're doing also is we're very soon going to launch our own e-com. It's going to be innovateonline.com. The pure basic idea for that is we're going to serve consumers in 1.5 hours, 5 kilometer radius of the mall of the product or the stocks which are there available in the store. So it's not going to compete with a quick commerce or an Amazon or anything. It is a pure service being developed by us for the brands to really upscale the brand. Right. So these are the two very different and innovative stuff we're doing.
So malls are also becoming omni-channel that way.
Yes.
And so,
Yeah, I could think of a brand collaboration. So the mall has all the like-minded brands together. So if the mall can actually help us have collaboration with a brand like a Forest Essential or a Kama to have a co-branding or a collaboration from one brand to another, I think that would really help.
Yeah, so she's talked about cross branding. We've tried it in the past with limited success, but we're still on it. We are sure that more things can happen in the future. In technology and in new innovations, I think putting in navigation robots, putting in uh, talk to robots, and all of that will help. Putting in interfaces on their WhatsApp or WhatsApp basically, not the other stuff, because Indians don't tend to use the other stuff. And putting in simple language, uh, AI bots, so that people can navigate. Navigation is the biggest problem in malls because Indians see English.
In your mall, you're the biggest mall.
No, but even I go to other malls. I mean, I find myself at a stretch, The, so we see English, but we don't really read English. So it's very difficult. And then we land up asking people. Everybody. I have seen loads of customers. They keep asking people. Not only here. This is my 9th mall, so I've seen most of them. They keep asking people. So they'll ask a security guard, and then it is up to the security guard. If he's from Assam, God bless. So we
language barriers can be anywhere, not in a particular state or city that ways. What I've understood from this conversation that brands want them to be handhold and be helped whenever there is a problem or
There's
issue.
one more thing which has really worked for us, especially during summer vacations. The events that the malls had to get in the children. There were events which got the crowd in, which actually made the business work for us also. So as I was thinking, I think more events in the malls to pull the crowd in, the right kind of crowd in, is also very important.
Okay, so what I was trying to say that brands expect the malls to handle them or do certain things from them to do it for the brands. Sorry, and the malls say if you perform it, stay, otherwise go away. This is what I have taken away. So would you like to say something? I mean, why are malls so adamant about this is who we are, adapt with us, or otherwise we don't care?
No, I think
Is
it's
it
more
so?
about for mall as well as brands to be more relevant to the customer they are catering to. So even if a mall asks a brand to go, probably it's not easy for a mall also to ask a brand to go because there's a vacancy period where they are also losing on revenue, right? And then they have to go through the whole cycle of finding a new tenant. So only that happens only when they realize that this brand is no more relevant for my customers and the brand is not doing what it should be doing and there is an issue with regards to the affordability of rental, that is when that happens. So it's actually both are trying to cater to the customer. So it's more from that perspective.
Also, I would add to this that there are limited space in the mall. They can't just be having the old brand who is not able to perform, who is not able to cater. Mall has demand. I mean, there are so many brands waiting up in the queue to just want to be there in the malls. So obviously mall will also want to give them chances to prove themselves, and also for the brands to make corrections of what's going wrong, so that they also have that seriousness to continue the business in the malls.
Yeah.
Business is the end goal of whatever we all do. If we ignore business and try to go through relationships and such like and all of that, never really works. never really works. We can go only thus far and no further, right? And let's all remember that, our customers are telling us something else, and how long can we keep ignoring that? So pertaining to that, when we again sit down for a discussion about an exit or something like that, uh, these things have to be brought forth. And of course, mall also has to give in some time. It's there in the agreement, the cure period and stuff like that. It's all there. But over and above that, at the end of the day, it's business.
And I think what everybody is saying is absolutely correct. And most of the time, it's amicable, right? Because the brand realizes is that yes, it's not making sense for them. Their rent revenue ratio, their occupancy cost has gone way beyond. And for us as well, to get a relevant brand is also much needed. That's the thing happened at the time of exit. But we also do a lot of realignment as well, shifting, resizing as well. That's when we actually partner with the brands, and we have to really educate them. And there are multifold examples in our portfolio in Orbits, which we have done. In Orbit Malad, this is the 20th year, we're still thriving. And just to give you a perspective, last year was our highest ever consumption. So this is due to not only churn, but also resizing, realignment, and shifting of large anchors, adding F&B, and so on and so forth. So that's when hand-holding and working together with brands comes a lot handy.
One more question from the mall guys here. Just as Indranil touched upon, he changed the brand mix altogether to get more consumers. So there are certain malls which are doing well. If we churn the brand mix altogether, will you be able to get more consumers that way?
Just simply changing is not the order of the day. I mean, it must make sense. I mean, for example, Forever New, Carrot Lane, if they make sense in the newer spectrum also, with tomorrow's customer, then there's no problem. Then there is a way. Resizing is probably one way, wherein, like, we just say, talk it over, and we find that whether 500 square feet, 1,000 square feet can be released so that we can do something else, and your yield will go up. It's all about yield, right? At the end of the day, so the yield will go up. At the same time, some of the fashion stores, they say we can't present all our sizes and all our fashion and everything. It won't be good for us. Then things have to occur, right? But changing just for the sake of change, nobody wants. Nobody wants, because a customer definitely wants freshness. But what works was, why to change all of that?
So my last question to all the panelists over here, I want to understand how can we future-proof the retail spaces considering that the consumer expectations keep on changing. Apart from that, technology is moving at a fast pace. There are new ways of shopping which are being emerging. So how can we future-proof the spaces that we have currently and make sure they shine brighter maybe going ahead? If they both have to work together, I understand this thing, but how can we future-proof them?
It's all about adapting to the customer needs, understanding the trends, their shopping pattern. So for us also, when it comes to jewelry, we actually look at what are the best sellers, what kind of designs are working, and how you can enhance the customer experience. We look at our NPS scores, we look at our Google store rating. So these are all indications to understand that, everything is going right as per the customer's demand. And you have to keep on updating yourself. You have to keep on adapting to the customer's needs always. So whether it's a mall or a retail brand, I think both have to, the key is the customer, you have to focus on their requirement.
Adding to this, also, where are the customers, apart from the malls and the high streets, where are the customers now moving to? For example, it's the transit retail. There are malls now just next to the airport or within the airport, or airports booming up per se, where transit retail and customers shop on the go and do that. So that's also a place where the new customers are there, and how the brands will obviously cater to.
I speak from a brand whose sales, 70% of the sales come from loyal customers, regular customers. So for us, future proofing is to acquire more customers. How to get more customers into the fold of a brand, which is luxury, bridge to luxury. So I think for us right now, for the next few years, The future proofing is to get more customers in and to make them used to our brand.
I would just add one thing. Future proofing is a concept that people such as us in malls and with brands are uh, working with on a daily basis. On a daily basis, we think about how our upper ground floor has to appear, or the first, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, or whatever it is. And same way, brand is always thinking as to what will make them thrive next year, the year after that, and so on and so forth. And that's why they do all kinds of things, including design, production facilities, and so on and so forth. So we are future proofing ourselves on a regular basis. But what we are not doing at this point of time is because the market is just booming in a very, very different way. And we are not measuring enough with brands that we are not seeing in front of us. Like cinema, for example. Why should we have a 7 screen, 12 screen, 11 screen anymore? Why shouldn't 3 screens work and release the space for new customers with new brands for the rest of the mall to thrive in different ways? Why not more entertainment? And actually, let me give you an instance. 85% of our country's customers come out of homes for cinema or food. Are we doing enough for them? So food outlets need to be more active than what they are at this point of time. At this point of time, there are some the food brands that they tell us that you have to invest and only then we'll come. These are not ways that things will work in the future. Everybody needs to put in their skin in the game.
Yeah, I think future proofing, I think we are in the job of, as I said, retail, managing the malls. I think it has to be, it's an ever dynamic field. All I would mention is to ensure we are very adaptable and we are very agile and simple, but never say never. I think these are the large 3 mantras to ensure that we are future shaping our industry.
So if I have to conclude it, I have to say that malls and retailers have to work in collaboration with each other to make sure both grow. And the second thing is customer is the king and they have to adapt what he or she is saying. Yeah.
Sure, for sure.
Thank you so much for joining us today.